So let's move our attention to the Senate. Joe Manchin over the weekend said it was time for a strategic pause when it comes to the $3.5 trillion reconciliation package. Now, I am very afraid that, so let's talk about the quick conversation. Should the progressives blow it up? My inclination is that they should, but I think we should be clear-eyed that isn't going to mean you're going to get it and they're going to fold, because Manchin is the type of guy who conceivably could walk away from that. Like, he's a freak. His daughter got a huge payout from being a pharma exec. We'll talk about more of that later. But so far, the newest signaling is Bernie said, we've already compromised a lot to get down to 3.5 trillion, which is, of course, the right response. And Chuck Schumer said full steam ahead. So that's where we're at when it comes to the Senate reconciliation package. I'll believe it when I see it. Similar to like the sort of PRO-Act stuff. I want to believe that stuff so much, but it's like we talked about press release Joe. You can't trust him until it's in your pocket. Like, you get all these sort of promissory notes. I don't know if I'm using that term correctly, but that's what it seems like it is. But yeah, go ahead.
And everything we've seen from the way that the Democratic Party is governing, under the Biden administration too, has shown us that, they're very willing to sort of peg it on a villain, right? Like, I'm sure within the party they're mad at Joe Manchin, but he also provides a lot of cover for people to basically have, private concerns about things and make sure their donors are happy, and then sort of direct all the anger at, Joe Manchin.
Because it kind of works for him electorally, but he might stand for a lot of politicians. I mean, there's a reason Chris Coons is so often taking flack right alongside him. And Chris Coons, of course, is Biden's home state, but pal. So, but we're going to do our Blair Mountain segment with Chuck Keeney for patrons, but we will deliver on West Virginia today, unless you want to talk a bit more on the reconciliation package. But
no, I'm good. Let's
deliver on the West Virginia a little bit. So Heather Bresch, Mylan CEO, there's this article that come out, Ryan Grimm. Heather Bresch, Joe Manchin's daughter, played direct part in EpiPen price inflation scandal. Now, this is... I mean, when people talked during the Martin Shkreli thing about how actually this is just normal business, like, this is a good proof of that. Right down to the emails of Bresch, who, let's just get to some of those. I'll share this story from Ryan Grimm. Heather Bresch, former president. So basically the deal is this. Pfizer and Mylan. Pfizer had a competitor to EpiPen. They actually, I don't know if you can have a better grasp of the business details here, David. But basically, so Pfizer bought a producer of a part to that EpiPen was using to produce.
Basically an alternative.
Right.
And they were negotiating privately with Mylan, to keep the prices of their competitors. Basically, they it comes up later here. Yeah. In that discussion, you indicated that you would be divesting your Adrenaclick product once the Pfizer King deal closes, right? So essentially, they're trying to get a deal to make sure that they don't have any competition, which would allow EpiPen to increase the price of EpiPen. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And yeah, we read that. I'm sending you this email as a reminder that you sent me the confirmation, which is like very laying it out, explicitly. And I can't, I'm distracted because I want to get right to how she got this job in the first place.
Yeah, but we shouldn't just skip over this, because this is absolutely egregious. This is a great example of how capitalism doesn't really breed, fair prices and accessibility for all. In fact, you have two massive pharmaceutical companies essentially operating together to do price fixing. And price fixing on a drug that should be readily available, that can be readily available and cheap for folks.
And a
But
competitor
instead,
was on the way. Pfizer had this Adrenaclick product that, and they started converging on basically the suppliers for different, not the drug, but like, the different parts of it. And instead of saying, okay, we're going to compete against you, Mylan, instead they said, you know what? Let's see if we can come together, do a little business. We'll back off on even doing Adrenaclick, and we'll just reap, both of us, the benefits, because we're also invested in this company that provides something needed by the Mylan EpiPen.
yeah.
Right.
And again, it just like, it very clearly shows how putting profit first does not create these kind of equitable outcomes that a lot of like free marketeers or libertarians put forward, because it can be just as profitable to make deals on other things, to basically do price fixing as an industry, right? That happens all the time. And this is an extremely cruel version of it, because it means that people either are not receiving medicine that they need, or people who need to have an EpiPen in the house, right, are paying, through their noses for it.
Yeah.
And they say later in the piece, Ryan Grimm notes some of the market research that Mylan did, where they interviewed people who were caregivers to folks who might need EpiPens. And they said explicitly that, of course, I would pay any price to make sure that my child doesn't die.
Yeah.
And remember, that's the kind of market that these people are in. Yeah.
Yeah, if I had to go from 1-pack to 2-pack, I'd do it no matter what it costs. Of course, I'd like to save money by switching, but my son's life is worth more than a few dollars, and I never risk it. And also, to just double back to the 1-pack versus 2-pack thing, what happens as soon as they develop this monopoly? Do they reinvest those profits into better research and development, into future life-saving drugs to make your kids healthier? No, they come up with a thing that, like, I don't know if you need a business degree from West Virginia University, just to foreshadow the part I'm eager to talk about, to come up with Project X2 or Project Times 2, which is, now that Pfizer's just decided, oh yeah, we're not going to do Adrenaclick, let's just make money on producing this stuff together, you come up with a little thing called Eliminate the Single EpiPen. And look at
the true innovation, right?
Exactly. Why? Double the revenue per RX of 2-pack versus single. And then 2 strong potential generic defense. So a market reason. We want to make sure no generics. I don't quite understand the rationale for that. Maybe some business psycho could describe it to me. And then let's just go here. Just this email. Hi, Ray and Poonam. I hope you're having a great weekend. I'm imagining the show Corporate. Have you watched that at all? It's decent on Comedy Central, but senior management is having a meeting with Heather, April, and wanted to provide her with an update on Project X2. Again, this is just the thing that now we have a monopoly. We can force people to buy 2-pack.
Oh, this is beautiful, though.
I know that you were working on creating a medical rationale for Project X2. So listen, can we appreciate what we're seeing here?
Yeah.
We've decided that we want to sell a 2-pack, and literally saying, I know that you were working on creating a, quote, medical rationale for Project X2. I'm pulling a slide deck together that will be used. Would you be able to forward the information I should include for the rationale and the way it should be worded? Lloyd would like to review this deck on Tuesday morning at 8 a.m., so I'd appreciate having it on Monday, end of day. So...
I mean, absolute bloodsuckers. I mean, in like literally in the truest sense, right? Honestly. I mean, these people are preying on folks on literally on their life force.
Yeah. Yeah. You it's getting to be spooky season. The fall is going to be a lot of horror movies in the theaters. Count how many bodies that maybe the monster movies you'll start to compete here, but like the slashers, they put up like maybe a couple dozen. These people, the amount of suffering and just across a huge amount of people, and they're, just Project X2, utterly disgusting. So now let's move to the thing in the cold open. Heather Bresch got her job at Mylan.
Can we just remind people again who Heather Bresch is?
Heather Bresch is the daughter of Joe Manchin. By the way, her mom is, I believe, in the Grimm story, reportedly lobbied to make sure schools are really stocked up with EpiPens. So the whole family's getting in on this. But let's focus in on Joe and Heather here. And I got a church. So 1992, Heather needs a job. Joe Manchin is a state senator in West Virginia. He is at a West Virginia basketball game, sitting next to the Mylan CEO, says, hey, my daughter needs a job. She's hired as a clerk, eventually works her up to the executive suite, becomes the liaison to, how is it worded, government relations or something like that, which, government relations, because, my dad's a fucking politician, soon to, if not governor yet, going to be governor in like a few years. So yeah, she apparently allegedly she graduated in 1998. Now the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette did some digging on that, and they're like, hey, wait a second, it doesn't appear that you did. The school first said, oh yeah, the registrar's office, the very first time they're confronted with this, say, oh, you're right, this is very strange. A few days later, though, come to find that, no, actually, she did graduate. There was just a little snafu regarding payment of a fee, which, is a kind of ecology thing. Now, a little bit more digging into that showed that actually a fee, well, first of all, why would a fee stop this department from sending grades over? And second of all, like, with that that description, like a fee issue, you would imagine that there's maybe like one class that didn't send grades over, right? She did 26 credits of the required 48. So she basically did half the school. They tried to claim that it was work experience, but work experience you still have to like clear with an advisor and pay tuition for, right? It's actually a kind of a scam for universities, right? They get to send you off to a business and get money for it, which is nice. So anyway, a review determined that actually, yeah, we lied. The university lied. Joe Manchin was the governor at the time. The university just lied about her having gotten a degree. They credited her with one when she shouldn't have, and then lied about, made up multiple bullshit excuses. And then, obviously, I'd say the EpiPen stuff, a little bit worse. I'm not super concerned, frankly, with people lying about on their resume. I think getting your dad, or maybe not, because actually, to even spread a little more incestuous picture, the guy who was the president of West Virginia, also former lobbyist and consultant for Mylan. So, I mean, pharmaceutical companies, I guess they just have a company state in West Virginia.
No, I mean, they prey on them, and it's extremely nasty. I mean, at the end of the day, though, I mean, what Manchin's daughter learns here is that, business gets to run the state, it gets to run the universities, and it runs the government, right? That's
the point. Like, I was going to say, like, I guess, like, I don't think you need to get the degree, because I'm pretty sure the Pfizer executives that also agreed with them to do price fixing, they probably did finish their degrees. It's a really rotten, disgusting industry. And doing so, and I really recommend reading the Grimm piece, because you see how conscious they are of the blowback. It's all gauged to that. That's all their fucking job is to realize how much blood they can suck before people start screaming about it. That, like, it's literally their number one concern about, it seems like we can do this. Nobody seemed to care when we bumped it up this much. We can do a little bit more. Let's squeeze it more. And that's who gets promoted in American corporate society.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing too, is like, obviously, like, ideas of America being a meritocracy are complete BS. But also what you get on the other side of it is, somebody who's been given everything and every opportunity in life, using that opportunity to basically price fix critical medicine for people, leading to deaths and despair for so many. I mean, beyond it just being unfair in the sense it's like, oh, it's hard for everyone else to get like a leg up or to compete. The end result too, right? What these people are being propelled to do is just pure evil. So
Yeah. It'd be one thing if it basically worked, but yeah,
send your kids to run the Texas Rangers.
exactly.
Like Bush, don't keep them away from politics and keep them away from pharmaceutical companies, right?
Jesus. Yeah, this in the same context of like the Sacklers getting off, basically with the don't do that so much. And man, if anybody benefited from sort of corporate liability protections, those motherfuckers. Jesus.